Today we're talking about Geelong, Victoria's second largest city, and Melbourne's often overlooked neighbor that's sitting down there on Corio Bay, wondering why nobody ever invites it to the cool kids table. Now, Geelong's got a population of about 280,000 people, which makes it bigger than places like Hobart or Darwin. But somehow it still gets treated like Melbourne's daggy younger sibling who shows up to family gatherings wearing last year's fashion. But here's the thing. Geelong's been quietly transforming itself from a post-industrial town into something genuinely interesting. And there's a lot going on there that the tourism brochures conveniently forget to mention. So today, we're diving into 8 things they don't tell you about Geelong. And if you're from Geelong, stick around because I promise I'll say at least 3 nice things, maybe 4 if I'm feeling generous. Let's get into it. Number 1. The wind is absolutely relentless. The wind in Geelong is not normal wind. It's not a gentle breeze. It's not even a strong wind. It's like Mother Nature looked at Geelong and said, "You know what this place needs? A permanent wind tunnel." Geelong sits right on Corio Bay, which sounds lovely until you realize that the bay acts like a giant funnel for every bit of wind that comes screaming across Bass Strait. And we're not talking about a refreshing coastal breeze here. We're talking about the kind of wind that'll turn your umbrella inside out, rearrange your face, and make you question every life choice that led you to this moment. The locals have just accepted this as normal. You'll see people walking down the street at a 45-degree angle like they're mime artists practicing walking into a strong wind, except they're not practicing. They're actually just trying to get to Coles. Women have given up on hairstyles entirely. Blokes have learned to tuck their shirts in properly or risk flashing the entire Westfield car park. And the thing is, nobody mentions this when they're trying to get you to move to Geelong. The real estate agents will bang on about the waterfront redevelopment and the cafe culture and the proximity to Melbourne, but they'll conveniently forget to mention that you'll need to bolt down your outdoor furniture like you're preparing for a cyclone. Number 2, it's not really 50 minutes to Melbourne. When people say Geelong is just 50 minutes from Melbourne, they're lying to you. Well, not lying exactly, but they're being selectively truthful in a way that estate agents have perfected over centuries. Yes, technically, if you leave Geelong at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday when there's absolutely nobody on the road, drive 20 kilometers over the speed limit, and catch every green light known to humanity, you might make it to Melbourne in 50 minutes. But that's not real life, is it? In real life, you're sitting in traffic on the Prince's Freeway behind a caravan doing 80 in a 100 zone, wondering why you didn't just take the train. Except you didn't take the train because the Geelong train service, while better than it used to be, still operates on a schedule that seems designed to inconvenience the maximum number of people possible. The actual journey time is more like 70 to 90 minutes depending on when you travel, and that's before you factor in Melbourne's traffic once you actually get there. So when someone tells you Geelong is perfect because you can easily commute to Melbourne, what they mean is you can spend 3 hours of your day sitting in a car contemplating your existence while listening to the same Triple J playlist on repeat. Number 3. The Geelong Cats are not optional. In Geelong, supporting the Geelong Cats is not a hobby, it's a municipal requirement. I'm pretty sure it's written into your council rates. Now look, I get it. The Cats are successful. They've won multiple premierships. They've got one of the best stadiums in the country at Cardinia Park, or GMHBA Stadium as it's officially called now, though half the locals still call it Skilled Stadium because Australians are allergic to using the correct current name for anything. But the level of Cats obsession in Geelong goes beyond normal sports fandom. This is cult-level dedication. The entire city shuts down on game days. Everyone's wearing the blue and white hoops. Your neighbors, your barista, your accountant, the bloke fixing your teeth at the dentist. Everyone. If you don't support the Cats, people look at you like you've just admitted to putting pineapple on pizza. Actually, they'd probably forgive the pineapple thing faster. And here's what's really wild. During finals season, if the Cats are playing well, the entire city gets this weird communal energy where everyone's just slightly more optimistic about life. Property prices probably go up. Crime probably goes down. Babies are probably born healthier. It's like the team's performance directly affects the city's collective mental health. If you're thinking about moving to Geelong and you don't like AFL, just lie. Tell everyone you're a passionate Cats supporter. Learn the names of a few players. Pretend you care. Your social life depends on it. Number 4. The gentrification is happening fast. Geelong is gentrifying at warp speed, and like all gentrification, it's a complicated mess of positives and negatives that makes everyone uncomfortable. 20 years ago, Geelong was genuinely struggling. When the Ford factory closed in 2016, taking 1,200 jobs with it, it was the final nail in the coffin for Geelong's manufacturing era. The city had to reinvent itself, and to be fair, it's doing a reasonably good job. But that reinvention means suburbs that were once working class are now being discovered by hipsters and young families from Melbourne. Suddenly, there are cafes serving $22 smashed avocado, boutique breweries in converted warehouses, and shops selling artisanal candles that cost more than your weekly groceries. Places like Newtown and parts of West Geelong have gone from rough around the edges to trendy faster than you can say exposed brick, which is great if you own property there, less great if you're renting and watching your rent increase by 20% every year. The locals have mixed feelings. On one hand, nobody's complaining about having better coffee options and lower crime rates. On the other hand, there's something a bit sad about seeing the authentic character of a place get smoothed out and replaced with the same generic hipster aesthetic you can find in every gentrified neighborhood in every Australian city. Also, and this is important, no matter how many trendy bars and restaurants open up, Geelong isn't Melbourne. It closes early. Like really early. If you're out after 10 p.m. on a weeknight, you're basically limited to pubs and maybe one or two places that remember to keep their lights on. The city's still figuring out this whole nightlife thing. Number 5. The Great Ocean Road. Living near the Great Ocean Road sounds fantastic until you realize what it actually means. Yes, you're an hour from one of the most beautiful coastal drives in the world. Yes, you can pop down to Torquay or Lorne or Anglesea whenever you fancy. Yes, having the 12 Apostles and all that stunning coastline on your doorstep is objectively pretty special. But here's what they don't tell you. Every single person who visits you will expect you to take them on the Great Ocean Road. Every single one. Your mate from Sydney is visiting? Great Ocean Road. Your parents are coming to stay? Great Ocean Road. Your partner's second cousin twice removed is passing through Victoria? You're doing the Great Ocean Road again, mate. And look, it's beautiful. Nobody's denying that. But after you've driven that route for the 15th time, showing people the same rock formations and stopping at the same lookout points while they take the same photos that everyone takes, it loses a bit of its magic. Plus, the summer tourist traffic is absolutely cooked. You'll be stuck behind a convoy of camper vans driven by international tourists who are terrified of Australian roads, crawling along at 60 kilometers an hour on roads designed for 80. And you can't overtake because there's another 47 camper vans in front of them. The locals have learned to just avoid the whole area from Boxing Day until the end of January unless absolutely necessary. Which is a shame, because that's also when the weather's actually nice. Number 6. It's weirdly hard to explain. Try explaining Geelong to someone who's never been there, and you'll realize it's surprisingly difficult. It's not quite regional Australia, but it's not quite metropolitan either. It's got beaches, but they're bay beaches, not ocean beaches. It's got culture, but it's not Melbourne culture. It's got its own identity, but that identity is partly defined by not being Melbourne, even though a third of the population works there. You end up using a lot of qualifiers. It's like a small city, but also kind of a big town. The waterfront's nice, but it's not like beach. There's stuff to do, but not Melbourne levels of stuff. You sound like you're apologizing for the place even when you're trying to promote it. The city's slogan is clever and creative, which is the kind of slogan that means absolutely nothing to anyone. What city doesn't think it's clever and creative? Come to Geelong. We're moderately intelligent and occasionally artistic doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Part of the problem is that Geelong's in transition. It's not the industrial town it used to be, and it's not quite yet whatever it's becoming. It's in that awkward teenage phase where it's trying to figure out who it wants to be when it grows up. Give it another decade and maybe the identity will solidify. Or maybe it'll just become Melbourne's outer suburbs with a different postcode. Time will tell. Number 7. The class divide is real and visible. Geelong has a pretty stark class divide, and unlike some cities where the rich and poor neighborhoods are separated by distance, in Geelong they're sometimes just a few streets apart. You've got suburbs like Newtown, parts of Geelong West, and areas near the waterfront that are rapidly becoming quite expensive and trendy. Then literally 2 suburbs over, you've got areas that are still dealing with significant socioeconomic challenges. This isn't unique to Geelong, obviously. Every city has wealthy areas and struggling areas, but in Geelong, the contrast feels particularly sharp because the city's relatively small. The inequality is more visible. You've also got the knock-on effects of all those Melbourne refugees moving to Geelong for cheaper housing. They're bringing Melbourne money to a regional city. which pushes up prices and makes housing less affordable for locals who earn regional wages. A Melburnian might look at a $600,000 house in Geelong and think it's a bargain compared to the $1.2 million they'd pay in Melbourne. A local family looking to buy their first home sees a price that's doubled in the last decade. The city's trying to address this stuff through various initiatives and social programs, but these are big structural issues that don't have easy solutions, especially when your economic revival strategy partly depends on attracting people with Melbourne salaries to come and spend money in your city. It's a tension that's just simmering under the surface, and it's something you notice if you actually live there rather than just visiting for the day. Number 8. It's actually getting pretty good. Despite everything I've just said, Geelong is actually becoming a genuinely decent place to live. I know. I've spent the last not-so-few words taking the piss, but credit where it's due. Geelong has done a remarkable job of reinventing itself over the last 15 years. The waterfront transformation is genuinely impressive. The food scene is actually pretty good now. Deakin University brings a proper student population and cultural energy. The health and education sectors are growing. The city's invested in infrastructure and public spaces. Is it perfect? No. Is the wind still ridiculous? Absolutely. Will you spend a lot of time in traffic if you commute to Melbourne? Without a doubt. But if you're looking for somewhere more affordable than Melbourne, with actual job opportunities, decent amenities, and a pretty reasonable quality of life, you could do a lot worse than Geelong. The city's got potential. It's got good bones. And unlike a lot of regional Australian cities that are declining or stagnating, Geelong is actually growing and evolving. Sometimes growing pains are just signs that something's actually happening. Plus, and this is important, the people are generally pretty friendly. It's got that regional Australian thing where people actually say hello to each other on the street, and baristas remember your order. You lose that in the bigger cities. So yeah, Geelong's all right. It's not going to compete with Melbourne or Sydney or even Brisbane for that matter. But it's carving out its own niche, and if you're the right kind of person looking for the right kind of lifestyle, it might actually be exactly what you need. Just invest in a really good jacket. Seriously. The wind. If you're from Geelong, let me know in the comments if I got this right or if I'm completely off base. If you're thinking about moving to Geelong, hopefully this gives you a more realistic picture than the glossy brochures. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments what city or town I should cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.